Hello, everyone. Welcome wherever you are in the world. We are so thrilled to have you here at USA Global TV and Radio. I'm Dr. JACALYN KERBECK. I'm the president, founder, and chief listening officer here at our network, where we promote elevated listening for inner peace. Our show today is the art of creating mental health wealth, and we have a great guest who's not backstage, so we will continue on the show with another topic. Welcoming the star of our show. I'm sure if you have been here before, you already know about the amazing work that JENETTA and the Epiphany Process and World Jenny's Day is doing to inspire people all over the world to use creative arts to share their stories and their journeys. Let's welcome JENETTA and hear what she's been up to since we last saw her. Welcome, JENETTA.
Hello, Dr. JACALYN, and hello, all our viewers and our listeners and all our new viewers and listeners.
We love having
it's
new
a pleasure
people.
to be back.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
So for people who don't know, JENETTA is on the opposite side of the world from where I am. I'm currently in Florida in the United States. And JENETTA, where are you?
I am in East Africa in the Great Rift Valley. In fact, I took a picture last night because and entitled it and sent it through to be used for social media. The volcano in my garden, because last night the semi-extinct volcano, which is the view from my bedroom window, showed every rivulet of when it exploded, whenever, how many million years ago. And so yes, I'm near a volcano and a lake filled with hippopotamus, and that's where I am transmitting from today.
It's fantastic. I just love technology when it's working. It brings us all together because, as you know, we are all about celebrating and giving people a place to come forward and share their story. So we are going to be meeting tomorrow to talk about World Jenny's Day for 2023. What can you tell our audience about World Jenny's Day, the reason why you've created this event and the significance behind it?
Oh, Dr. JACALYN, it's really got to a point with World Jenny's Day that whenever I step into the zone of World Jenny's Day, my heart just goes whoosh. And it comes with such a wonderful, uplifting feeling, even though it comes from a really incredibly tragic backstory. And the backstory is that, having been a motivational sales motivational trainer and speaker for many years, I realized I was out of integrity when people were just artificially taking my energy, a bit like a vampire, really. It was, you come in and go rah, 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 and off they go feeling very excited. But they're back going, we need another dose, another fix. And I realized I'd become their drug. And I took myself off for quite a few years working on my intuitive side, because after all, CEOs of top companies will tell you that their best decisions have come from that intuitive place. And again, though, people coming to me and asking for my intuition to help them with whatever it is they were working through or needing to make a decision on. And I went, I feel out of integrity again. And it was at about that time that I had my greatest life test happen, in that my 16-year-old, very troubled 16-year-old daughter, Jenny, who had already been in and out of rehab with depression and suicidal ideation. She and I went into an enormous argument one day when I was putting in safekeeping house rules for all of us, but especially for her. And it escalated into an enormous argument, and she took herself off to pack to leave home. And then I sensed something wasn't right, and I went to find her, and I found that she'd taken her life in her shower. So it wasn't until I'm busy taking a big leap and missing. Obviously, there was a whole load of heartache and grieving and pain that is beyond description that I had to go through to get to where I am today. And that's where the epiphany process was born, because I had to walk the walk and talk the talk and get myself through my greatest life test. But at the same time as I was working through all this, I realized that Jenny had died on World Mental Health Day, the 10th of October. And so this coming year, 2023, we will be celebrating the 4th World Jenny's Day on World Mental Health Day. And one of the things that's become very clear in all the years I've worked through things on a personal level and with many, many people, thousands of people all around the world online, is that it's so easy on a day like World Mental Health Day to start, I would even say, pontificating about how broken a person is when they're feeling depressed and suicidal. And I have found differently. I have found that we all get compromised at some time or another in our lives, and that it's a very natural, normal thing. There's nothing broken or nothing to be fixed. It's more about having the life skills to deal with those compromising times when they happen, not if they happen, when they happen, because they happen to all of us. And really, I've seen time and time again that performing arts and the arts are a wonderful way to soften the conversations around depression and suicide that have such bad connotations attached to them when they do not need to be. And so we have been able to use performing arts and the arts now. This will be the 4th year to celebrate mental health wellness. And what it does when we do this is it transforms the day. People are in this place of appreciating each other and appreciating their creativity. And it's from our creativity that we create balance. So that is what World Jenny's Day is all about, and what we're going to be stepping into next year. I've got a little bit more to tell about it, but Dr. Jacalyn, back over to you in case we got our guest back.
No, not here yet. So
Okay,
thanks
all
for
right.
sharing that. And this is an opportunity for people to come forth and to participate. Can you talk a little bit about what you're looking for in terms of involvement from our audience?
Yes. Well, again, you and I are still planning it, but one of the things that we are doing this year, and I'm busy in negotiation with as well, is to have World Jenny's Day represented on bigger levels than ever in the metaverse. And we've already got a World Jenny's Day NFT collection, which is quite substantial. But we're going to go even more than that and bring the theatre and the arts element of what we're doing in actuality. We're going to bring it onto the metaverse as well. So we're busy negotiating that. But we will be looking for performers, whether it's comedians or ventriloquists or actors, actresses, singers, dancers, all types of performers, and also artists, non-performing artists, to step forward and celebrate with us in this coming year's 2023 World Jenny's Day on the 10th of October. And there are many ways we're going to approach it, but we will actually present that to you all when we launch 2023.
Fabulous. It's good just to give people an idea, something to get ready, put on their calendar to think about. So fantastic.
10th of October. 10th of October.
Save that date. There it is. 10, 10,
Save the date.
23.
That's the one.
JENETTA, as you know, on this particular show, we really give people tools and tips that they can incorporate when they're feeling out of sorts, when they're feeling down, when they've had some major life episode happen, or it's just a daily grind for them. The holiday season is a tough one for many people. I know for me,
Very tough.
I'm very busy working and creating, but the holidays are not the same. There's no tree, there's no decorations, there's no family around. It's really changed over the years, and I'm okay with it. But sometimes people are not okay with the changes. I mean, maybe there's a loss, or they moved, or financial struggle. What type of coaching advice can you give to people who are thinking, you know what, I hate the holidays. I just want them to go by already. I'm tired of the songs being played everywhere and on the radio, and they just get themselves all worked up. What can you do to help them calm down or find peace?
Yeah, it's a bit like chicken and egg. I believe it can be extremely difficult as a person, especially if you're on your own, uh, to take action in this time. So I'm going to take it from the other way and encourage people to reach out to people who they know are on their own, and just say, even if it's come and celebrate with us, as we lift a glass to this holiday season. Just come and sit with us for an hour or 2 hours, or if you can expand it, come and share a meal, come and break bread with us, um, and reach out to people, or try and do something that can liven a person's life up. If you're a performer, do something that will help somebody or a group of somebody's to feel as though they belong. Because these holidays, really, the essence of these holidays is about belonging, and that's why some people feel so compromised, because they don't feel they belong. So that's the first thing. So to all our viewers and listeners out there, if nothing else, possibly your biggest heart opening thing you can do in 2022 is reach out in this holiday festive season to those who might not be feeling that festive, even if it's to drop in a meal. And I remember after I lost Jenny, it was in October, we were given a holiday to get far away because we were in so deep grief. And I remember feeling very sorry for my parents who had lost a granddaughter and were used to us around, and normally we were together for Christmas, and now there's not us, and there's this incredible tragic loss. And even in my greatest, most difficult hour, I knew we needed to do something. So we got a local friend to dress up as Father Christmas, and I organized somebody to cook a 3-course meal for them. And he arrived at 11 o'clock in the morning, knocked on their door, went, ho, 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 here's a meal. And as soon as they got it, as we sat down and ate our meal, I phoned them, and we ate our meals together, talking to each other about, oh, they've got this and we've got that. In those days we didn't have Skype and Zoom, but we made it a festive thing. And if you can do the same, it'll make a big difference to people. So that's the first thing I would say. And really, it's such a personal thing for people on holidays who are feeling compromised. Each person has a different reason for feeling compromised. So it's quite difficult to say, listen, just get out there and do a walk. But if you can just get out and walk and window shop, that might still feel a bit bland and alone. But one thing I have noticed as I've got older and older is when I'm feeling compromised like that, and before I went back into a relationship and got married, I found reaching out to others was a great way for me to get over myself and out of myself. So if I, by the way of example, I was in New York one Christmas completely on my own, and New Year. And I just decided I would go out and start talking to people. And I actually went to Katz's Delicatessen, which is, of course, where when Harry met Sally, that classic scene, I sat there and I was watching everybody. I was people watching and getting an idea of who they were and what they were. And then when people came by, I'd just chat to them, and it made such a difference to my Christmas. So although it's difficult, I really would suggest get out there, reach out and make a difference to somebody else, because when you do that, it makes a difference to you.
Absolutely. Janetta, I have to ask you again, what was the name of the place where the film took place? That scene?
It's my most favorite place in Manhattan. It's called Katz's Delicatessen. And of course, it's where the scene where he
Yeah.
says women can't fake an orgasm, and she does it, and the whole thing happens. And of course, everybody asks for that table. And I got that table. I was sitting there going, please take a photo of me. And it literally was around the corner from where I was living. So whenever I had friends visit me, I said, we've got to go to Katz's. Just have to go to Katz's Delicatessen, which is off Houston, just off Houston Avenue, actually. Houston, yeah. So amazing. And that to me is what it's all about, because it's so easy to get wrapped up in how compromised, because it feels very painful, very lonely, very depressing, and the last thing you feel like doing is reaching out. But it's rather like exercising. I liken this to exercising your body. And you think, okay, today I have to do these exercises, and you go no, and you pull the bed covers over your head again and go, no, I'm not going to do it. It's too painful and it's too much effort. And our thoughts and emotions require that push as well, where you go, I am going to get out, and I am going to make a difference to one person, even if it's just one person today. Another example would be years ago, here in Kenya, we had a very somber police force for a while. They were really aggressive and somber. And I'd come to a junction every morning where he was being particularly nasty and aggressive, and move and come on, and really in your face. So every day, as I was inching up to where he was at this intersection, I'd look all around me and go, oh, there's a bougainvillea flower. And oh, look, it's flowering more. And really breathing into the situation, which wasn't nice in those days. And I would get to the junction, and there he was, and I'd wave at him, and big smile, and how are you doing? And after many, many weeks, probably a couple of months, I got there one day, and there he was with a smile on his face. And that's the thing and I'm sure that had a knock-on effect for the rest of his life. I'm absolutely certain of it. And that's the thing, when we can get over ourselves and how we're feeling, and it feels like we're the only one feeling like that, and that nobody could even begin to understand how we're feeling. And it's true. It feels very real, and I'm not discounting that it doesn't feel real, because I've been there so many times. But when you can push yourself out of that and make yourself exercise getting out, and apart from the fact that just walking will help, get out and make a commitment. I'm going to make a difference to one person this holiday season on the 25th of December, or the 24th, or the 26th, because those 3 days can be quite dire. And even, of course, New Year's Eve and New Year's Day can be pretty dire as well.
Yes, absolutely. I love your suggestions. Just reach out, don't be alone. And even if it's just for an hour, just do something that you feel good about. And also, let's not forget that there's a lot of religious connotation to the holiday season. And that's something I think, if a person is religious or spiritual, that you can always fall back on and say, thank you for what I do have. Thank you for the fact I pray every night. I just say, thank you, God, that I'm actually still here. Thank you that I can see and breathe. My father had a very hard time breathing, and I used to watch him he would cough until he had severe headaches and he had to wear patches. Just breathing is a gift in and of itself. So there is always something to be thankful for. And, Janetta, something else that you and I are on the same page, and I know really resonates with you as well, is many times there is discourse during the holidays because people are arguing. People feel bad, they take it out on someone else. It really comes down to listening and learning how to listen to someone without having our own preconceived judgments. Or, as you know, the one that drives me crazy is when somebody feels like they have to give you a solution and you didn't ask them for a solution, but yet they have the answer. They're going to fix you. They're going to fix the situation. What's your experience been in this area?
I think there's two steps to that. One is there's a backstory to the fact that there's a lot of arguments over Christmas and even Thanksgiving. I know a lot of stuff happens over Thanksgiving and Christmas as well. And I'm sure in other religious holidays all around the world, I wouldn't be surprised if it isn't the same. And what I've observed in that, before we even get to how to handle that difficult time, is that when there's weddings, oh my gosh, weddings, let's go there as well. When there's a lot of emphasis put on that everything must be happy and perfect and everybody must get together and be joyous and really happy with each other, that's a lot of hype and a lot of pressure. And as you know, Dr. JACALYN, from all the work I do, if you've got a high, you're going to have a low. High highs bring in low lows. And I've seen it time and time again when there's such great expectation for an amazing outcome for something, when you don't factor in what won't work, which is very similar to factoring in how to, well, not similar, it's connected to how to respond to people and listen and communicate. When you're so at a high, it blocks, blinds, and distracts you from being able to handle the lows that are going to happen on the same day in the same place, because that's the balance of life. So being able to step in, as you know, some of you may remember, I got married a few weeks ago, well, not even 2 months ago. And I remember going, this is the time where all expectation is, it has to be put into a place of balance for it to work. So here's the skeleton, and how it comes about as a gift. So people were arriving going, can I do this? Yes, please. They didn't do it the way I really wanted it, but that would matter because watching them do it for us with so much love was the biggest gift of all. And it happened all through the day. So by the time we had this wedding, everybody felt appreciated and as though they belonged to this wedding. And the same thing can happen on these holidays and Thanksgivings and all these big, highly emotionally charged days. So that's the first thing. Secondly, yes, Dr. JACALYN, you and I are very passionate about this. And it's about being able to just peel away all expectation, peel away what you expect the person to say and what you expect to get out of what they're saying. And just listen. Just sit and listen. And when they've expressed themselves, step into that zone of trying to understand what it is they are actually expressing and feeling. So often it's really helpful to feed back to them and say, so what I understand is you're saying that you're feeling this, that, or you're perceiving this, or you're wanting that, and when you feed back to people, it's a really wonderful way for them to go, my God, they heard me. They might say, yeah, no, not quite that, but this. So they've redirected you and they're feeling heard, and it feels like they're being accurately heard. So that's one of the first steps. But Dr. JACALYN, I want to to step further into this, because we at USA Global TV are so delighted and enthusiastic and excited. We have a very big launch tomorrow, and I want to hand that baby back to you to tell everybody about now.
Thanks so much, JENETTA. I really appreciate that. And I would just ask anybody out there, just listen instead of interrupting or jumping on top of someone. How many times do we see this, JENETTA? Someone's speaking and the other person's like this.
Yes, I know. I agree with you. Yes, it's true.
It's like the second you stop,
but then you're not
there,
so. No, I don't agree.
This is exactly what goes on all over the world. And instead, like, I just was on a call. There were 4 other people on the call, and I felt no need whatsoever to give my opinion about anything. I just listened. I hardly said anything during the call. And it was fine. I was in a good place because I didn't have anything to prove. I just wanted to listen. But many times we feel like if I don't say something, they're going to think XYZ. Or I can't wait for him to shut up because I have a point that's more important than what he has to say. And we miss the whole context of what people are talking about because we're going forward with our ego instead of with our heart. So that being said, our launch party is actually today, JENETTA. It's today.
Yes,
And
it's today.
It's today. And I actually made a graphic, a show graphic. Let me just bring that up. So we're celebrating our first book of 7 in a series called The Amazing Adventures of Lady Ella, the Listening Mentor. And this book is all about teaching children and their families, really everyone, about how to listen. The animal characters on the book cover represent real people, and you can see each of the little animals on the side. JENETTA, which animal represents you?
Oh, I'm that white lion. You can see on the bottom left-hand cover. And she's called Sikaliza, which in Swahili means I listen.
Absolutely. And you stand out also because you have your own special background there. I love it.
Yes, I saw that.
It's hard to show a white lion. Yes. So we are having a book launch party where you get to meet the authors, myself and Mariska Duprier, and you get to meet all of the animal characters. And we're really excited. I personally am exceptionally excited, more excited about this book than the other 2 that I've published, because I really feel that it is so important that we learn how to listen. And with all the education and training that I've had, that you've had, they don't teach you how to listen. And if we learned how to listen as children, then we wouldn't have to undo decades of behavior patterns that are ineffective. I don't know about you, JENETTA. I know you've had other relationships, as have I, as well as friendships with people. But there are definitely relationship patterns that we get into that we just come to accept. It just basically becomes part of the relationship. One relationship that I was in, when this person didn't like what I had to say, he just wouldn't talk to me. He literally would not say anything for a week. I could go in front, hey, I'm over here. And he just would not speak to me. So that was the behavior pattern. And we accept these patterns because we get so frustrated because we can't do anything about what the other person is doing or how they're reacting. But we can do something about how we react. But many times we don't think of it in that way. We just come from a position of hurt or feeling neglect. What are your thoughts as somebody who specializes in this area, helping other people?
Oh yeah, it's a good one, because what happens is when you have like impasses like that, or any type of place where you're definitely at loggerheads, what happens is, back to that ego side, is we start going, well, I'm okay, and you must change. And as much as that person is accountable for their actions and reactions, totally, you're not. And so expecting them to change means that you're saying you're being accountable for them to be accountable. So when you stop and take a step back and have a look at where it is that your judgment and your fear is sitting within that impasse going on, and find out what the traits are that you're judging in them that you are elevating in yourself. So if you would say, oh, he's self-opinionated, or she's self-opinionated, or they're self-opinionated, then the chances are you're seeing that your self-opinionation is of lesser or non-existence to theirs. And when one can understand that being self-opinionated is a part of being human, it's one of nearly 5,000 human traits listed in the dictionary. It's a trait you can't get rid of. It's a trait that's got a bad name because people use it in its extreme. But when you learn to love that trait inside you and see how, as much as it doesn't serve you when it's in its extreme, but when self-opinionated can be brought in through skills and techniques into a place where you have a valuable opinion, then suddenly your judgment of that other person softens as you understand what's their self-opinionated side bringing to the table that works. And when you get it, suddenly your conversation, well, first of all, your body language, your energy interaction all softens. And when that softens and your heart opens, it has a knock-on effect. And if they're totally out of line, it has an effect where you can step forward and appropriately go, sorry, this was not on, or you can step forward and go, wow, that was an interesting thing. You care to discuss this? So the level of conversation changes when we do the internal work first. And when you work on yourself and you peel away the extreme angst inside you about them, and actually the hidden angst about yourself, when you peel that away, you become very centered, clear, and present. And then suddenly you can access the wise words that are already inside you without the distraction of overthinking and feeling over emotional about it all. And suddenly the most appropriate words come out of your mouth. That is where I've watched conversations just completely change course and new ways and new beginnings start happening. Either that they agree to disagree and never see each other again, which also has its benefits as much as it has its loss, or they agree to talk again and have new ways of expressing to each other.
Fabulous. I love what you're sharing. Also, I just wanted our audience to know that our guest did come backstage. I was corresponding with her and she loves what you're sharing. She's going to come back and be here for the full segment. We want her to be able to have the whole show to herself. So,
welcome back. We really look forward to having you with us.
Yeah, absolutely. So, JENETTA, as we round out the show for today, I'd love to leave people with some happy inspirations. Maybe what if we share some traditions or some things that we've done during the holidays, that maybe little things that might get people to think about doing it in their own lives? And I'll give you an example. The other day, my mom was painting and she gets really into it. She might be 8 hours that she's painting. And I just said to her mother, let's sing some Christmas carols. And she said, okay. And she just started singing. So we sang Deck the Halls. We sang like 4 or 5 of them. I videotaped it and I sent it to my sister. And I thought, isn't that nice? We have that little memory. And it just was spontaneous. There's no money involved. It's just something that we did. Can you think of something maybe that you could share?
Well, one thing that we are doing, and we have done for quite a few years now, is Andy loves baking the Christmas cake, and it's filled with so much brandy and rum and all sorts of things. I think one has to make sure you have a taxi to take you home, or somebody to take you home after you eat this cake. And it's really delicious. Not that I'm a Christmas cake fan, I'm not, but he loves baking it and people love it, those who like Christmas cake. So he makes this enormous cake, and then we invite people over to have some cake and some really vintage port and a cheese, and that is one of the traditions that we've set up that's a little bit different as well. So that's one idea. Yeah, over to you, Dr. Jacqueline, as I think of some other things.
Fabulous. Something else that I always like to do when we were gathered as a family around the table, I would just ask each person to say something for which they're grateful. And it took people by surprise when I first started doing it, and then people got used to it. But it really changes the whole atmosphere because you're focused on positivity. So, I give thanks that I can breathe, for example. I give thanks that we're all together, or we have heat. There's so many things that we take for granted. So again, that doesn't cost any money, and it's a kind of feel good thing. I think while you're thinking, another thing that's kind of nice that we used to do is when the dinner was over, and I'm talking about a holiday dinner, we would all come in and do the dishes together. So instead of one person being stuck, we each had a different role, like an assembly line. And that was like a common experience that we shared.
Oh, that's a lovely one, because it's such a chore, and obviously somebody's been cooking as well, as and what I like is what Andy and I have done now. This is a good one to think of. You don't need to actually get a raclette, and Dr. Jacqueline, you've heard me talking about raclette, which is from Switzerland. But I'm a great believer that when you have people over, whoever's been designated to do the cooking really loses out major time, and especially here in the holiday season, they're there and everybody else is sitting and chatting and whatever. So what we do now is on Christmas Day, we'll get the turkey and the different bits and pieces that would be for Christmas Day, and we cook it on the table together with our friends, if we've got friends, so that it's a communal meal and everybody cooks their food according to how they like it cooked. So let's say there's a Christmas sausage and some turkey and maybe some chicken, and anybody who wants red meat can have red meat. In fact, ostrich is another different one. It's very red, but it's low in cholesterol. It's a lovely meat to have. And then all the vegetables can be, you can have salad. Here it's very hot, so we tend to go for salads, but the vegetables can be pre-cooked and there. And then everybody is cooking their own meat on a griddle. So it doesn't have to be a raclette. It can be an actual, we've actually also got a big griddle in the middle of the table, and everybody cooks their own meal. And to me, that's a really wonderful way of sharing and enjoying a meal where nobody gets compromised in the kitchen.
I love that too. Fabulous. Another one I just thought of is being able to share a story with someone. So maybe it's just picking up a book or something that you have that you can read to someone else, or maybe it's sitting around in a circle, maybe it's across a computer screen, maybe it's on the phone, and just sharing a story of something that happened over the holidays to you in the past. Or maybe it's thinking about what your ideal holiday would look like, and then putting it out to the universe what it is you want to do to attain that. Is that something that people can do?
I think it's a wonderful one. Like my just sharing Christmas Day at Katz's Delicatessen. That's a wonderful one to share around the table, or even funny things that have happened over this year. where you go, or the most amazing coincidences, the most impactful thing that happened that I didn't even plan was I arrived to visit my children. Here's an example. I arrived to visit my children, and I had three, because they're in a different country, three different parts of my trip there planned out. And then suddenly I got a message from my second son saying, can I swap with my eldest son, because he's got to go through to somewhere else that he was working at. And we swapped, and he met me at the airport, and he said, I was actually going to send a driver to you, but actually I thought, no, I want time with my mum. And we got to where he was going to start working. I got to see his new work. I got to be booked in for the night in this beautiful hotel with hippo right in front of my bedroom door. And the next morning when we got up, a cheetah walked across the lawn. It was like, and when I'd woken up that morning before catching my flight, I had no idea I was going to be in bed that night in a different place and know about. It was such an adventure. So that was one of the things this year, that it's stories like that where you plan something and something even better happened, or a coincidence where you were going to do this, and then suddenly a person from your past or the answer came out of nowhere. Sharing those sort of anecdotes are amazing.
They really are amazing. And you hit on this earlier, and I think it's also really important, is take the focus off of you and put it on someone else. And that whole idea of being there for someone else, of volunteering, maybe if you are cooking for your family, cook something extra and take it and donate it somewhere. One
Yes.
of our team members, Diane Floyd Bame, I know she and her husband, they actually do a lot of giving of turkey meals to people during the holidays. There's so many people who are in need, and if you have the ability to give, it just feels so good. And you take that focus off of woe is me, what I don't have, to look what I do have and how I can help someone else have something. And it's just a good feeling all around, isn't it?
Absolutely. And it's what I'm actually writing a series of grief articles for LinkedIn at the moment. And it's one of the things that are coming up is that when you're in your grief, try and step out and see how you can help others who are going through the same. Not a oh, nobody understands me, because there are times where it does feel like everybody's busy judging you and saying, it's 3 months since you lost, don't you think, that sort of thing. But really stepping out and seeing how you can make a difference to somebody else, even though you are deep in grief, because that's the same thing. And the same with the holidays. Get out there and meet people and talk to people and make a difference to their lives on just that one day. The knock-on effect of that, the butterfly effect, as they call it, you have no idea. Because then it's like that film Pay It Forward. That person's just shifted. Even if it's marginally, they'll speak and react differently to the people they're going to meet from then on, even if it's tiny, and then that will have them reacting differently, and it just goes on and on and on.
Brilliant as always. And one other thing I would share, one of our other team members, Justin Rigliani, he shared something on one of the other shows, which makes a lot of sense. If you live to be 80, then you will have the opportunity to celebrate 80 Christmases, for example, 80 New Year's.
Wow.
But there's 365 days in a year. So when you think about that overall, it's one part of something much bigger. So instead of thinking about all that you don't have and how much you hate it, will they please stop playing these songs? Why are they advertising in October? Just find the good in it and remember that this too shall pass, like most things in life.
Yeah, and there's always a gift even in all of that. An example would be, at one stage, my children growing up here in Kenya, there was compromised electricity and water for that matter. And we got down to great celebrations to another country, who flew out. And Catherine at that stage was only about, she must have been about 6 or 7, and really very compromised because of lack of electricity in those days in Kenya. And we arrived there, and there was big celebrations because of the Olympic Games and the people who'd done all the pyrotechnics and all that. But just coming to the airport, and the doors were automatically open. You know, this child reminded me, we take everything for granted, and she was watching these doors doing this, going, how do they do that? And then we got on an escalator, and she was going, wow. And then we got into the car, and we stopped at lights on the road, and she's saying, why have we stopped? And that evening they had these celebrations of the Olympic Games, and they were letting off all these pyrotechnics, and she was going, wow. And then they had these huge searchlights when there was no electricity in another part of Africa, and she made us smile because she was going, what a waste of electricity. But it's things like that, when you can look at things in the eyes of a child that we take for granted. I mean, I'm sitting here with these amazing lights to do this presentation, just going, thank you, thank you, thank you. And the electricity to do it, and the technology. There's so much to be grateful for.
And I am so grateful for you. I'm so grateful to Ian and Helena, who introduced us. And I'm so grateful for this journey that we're on, and we're able to meet and share our experience and bring great guests onto this platform. So thank you again, JENETTA, for everything that you do to help other people. And thank you for taking this journey with me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's been such a special year, and so much has been achieved. And as always, I have great admiration for your stickability, your fortitude, your vision, and just knowing that this is going to go and make a difference to so already is. So thank you, thank you, thank you to you.
Thank you so much. And as a result of conversations that we've been having, we actually are going to have a holiday peace show that's going to be next week. And we'll have people from different parts of the world talking about what peace looks like. So I am excited as we continue to grow and more people come to the platform. Every day, somebody is reaching out to me on their own saying, wow, I found USA Global TV. I want to be interviewed. So thank you, JENETTA, because you are helping us get the word out there. And I wish everybody a very happy day, weekend, holiday season, and please find the joy in your heart by helping somebody else. JENETTA, how can people reach out to you, and who would you like to contact you?
Well, anybody who's feeling compromised right now, either because they're just overwhelmed, or a lot of internal conversation that's bringing them down, or anybody that feels that they're battling with their relationships right now and those conversations. If you'd like to know how to gain skills to work on those internal conversations that are often so contradictory and quite damaging, if you'd like to know how to bring them into open-hearted manageability with some amazing sets of questions, then contact me at JENETTA, JENETTA, at the Epiphany, EPIPHANY process.com. Or visit us on theepiphanyprocess.com. And if you'd like to know more about World Jenny's Day and how you can be a part of this amazing nonprofit, then go to worldjennysday.com. WorldJennysday.com. And thank you, Dr. JACALYN.
Thank you so much, JENETTA. I look forward to seeing you later today. You'll be joining us for the book launch show?
shall be. I shall be.
All right, fantastic.
I
I'll see
got
you
very
then. Excited.
disoriented earlier.
That's right. We want you there. You have to be there.
My
All right,
days.
my dear friend. I'll
Okay.
see you shortly.
All right. Lots of love.
Love
Love
to
to
you too.
everybody.
Bye for now.
Bye.
And thank you to each and every one of you. Our next show is coming up. It's the Corner Bookstore, so do stay with us. Following that is the United Kingdom News and Culture, and then the Lady Ella book launch show, followed by the Business Talk Show. And after that, we have our men's show, a show for men, by men, about men. It's called Wild at Heart. So stay with us. We have lots of education, inspiration, and entertainment for you for the rest of the day. Bye for now.